WCPB Boston, the inside word from Washington to Beacon Hill. Today's newsmakers are going on the record.
Much to discuss today, and we begin with the race in the new 3rd Congressional District. GOP nominee Jon Golnik is here this morning. The Carlisle businessman won his primary earlier this month and now is in a rematch with Democratic Congresswoman Nikki Tsongas of Lowell. He was bested by Tsongas 55% to 42 in that 2010 race. He's a graduate of Dartmouth, holds a master's in international studies from Johns Hopkins, has an MBA from the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. Mr. Golnik, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you. And I have all the student debt to prove it.
Yeah, well, debt is something we all know a little bit about.
We certainly do.
So we know that you're supporting Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan in November. One of the biggest divides in this election between Romney and President Obama is Medicare. Do you support Paul Ryan's plan to revamp the program?
I liked Paul Ryan's plan because it's a starting point. I would not vote for the Paul Ryan budget, however. It gets back to the issue that we have escalating health care costs in this country. The Affordable Care Act has done nothing to address those. You can't give government vouchers to seniors before you control escalating health care costs, because the escalating health care costs will outpace the government vouchers.
So in other words, you do not believe in a voucher program?
I think a voucher program can work, but I think we need to have health care costs brought under control first.
How would your voucher program be different from Paul Ryan's?
The first thing I would do is I would control health care costs, and I do that by allow people to buy insurance across state lines. It would force insurance companies to compete for our business by lowering their premiums, but still maintaining the quality of care. I think that we should have tort reform, which would be $54 billion in savings over 10 years, but the real cost savings would come when doctors don't have to practice defensive medicine. People should be allowed to pool. You, myself, people who have their own business can pool together so they can have larger pools to approach insurance companies and have the same purchasing power that a large business would.
So your plan doesn't sound a lot different from Paul Ryan's. It's just you're just offering more details to how you would save money.
I think I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry. I think that the Ryan plan is, to some extent, puts the cart before the horse. I think it's a good starting point. We need a bipartisan solution, but we need to get health care costs under control.
And looking at the bigger picture, if elected, you said that you would work to repeal the Affordable Care Act.
I certainly would. Yes, I would.
Without question.
Without question, I would appeal it.
Well, the law is basically based on what's here in Massachusetts. So what isn't working? Well, that would make you say it's necessary to change.
It hasn't brought down health care costs. I think anyone out there today who's watching the program and people that I talk to, everyone's deductibles have gone up, everyone's co-pays have gone up. We need to bring down the cost of health care.
But what about the mandate? Do you believe in the mandate that everyone should have health insurance?
I do not believe in the mandate, no.
So in other words, no one should be required to have health insurance?
I don't believe so. No, I do not.
And the company should not be, if they're over a certain size, should be forced to provide health care for their employees?
I don't think there should be a mandate at all. And I know the Supreme Court doesn't either. They call it a tax, and that's how they were able to pass it through the Supreme Court. And they call it what it is. It's a tax.
And back to the point of cost. Yes, cost is something obviously that concerns everyone, but there seem to be hints or indications that if it's not accelerating, it's leveling off. It's certainly not decreasing.
I'm not aware of that. It doesn't mean that hasn't happened. I think that there's a couple of problems. Again, I think that the healthcare costs need to be brought under control. I also think that the cost of implementing this Health Care Act, the Affordable Care Act, is anything but affordable. It's already doubled in cost to implement.
So you don't believe the fact that everyone has to have health insurance and the fact that just about everyone in Massachusetts at this point is covered is keeping health care costs level at least?
I do not believe so at all. No, I don't think health care costs have actually, we haven't seen health care costs come down here in Massachusetts at all.
No, they haven't come down, but they haven't grown a great deal, though, in the last couple of years.
But they're still growing faster than the pace of inflation.
All right, it's time now for OTR Pop Quiz. Are you ready?
I didn't know you had this, but I'm ready.
Oh, come on, you knew that right there, huh? One of the biggest complaints about the current 112th Congress is the lack of accomplishment and a lack of bipartisanship. Today's theme is Congress on the OTR Pop Quiz. Question 1. The U.S. Senate Majority Leader is Harry Reid. Mitch McConnell is the Senate Minority Leader. What is the ratio of Democrats to Republicans in the Senate? Democrats to Republicans.
It's the ratio of Democrats.
What are the numbers? What are the numbers? Yeah.
The numbers are 54-46.
51-47. Two independents.
Okay.
Two independents.
But they caucus with the
frequently.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, you're right. So you know what? We might give you that one because they do play in that wing. You would say. Name the Speaker of the Republican. The name of the Speaker of the Republican-controlled House is John Boehner. Who is the House Minority Leader?
The House. Nancy Pelosi.
Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, I'm going to say you're 2 for 2. We're going to take a break with John.
Thank you very much.
All right.
You're 1.5 for 2. We'll take a break with Jon Golnik. Stay with us. Welcome back to OTR and the Pop Quiz for Jon Golnik. There are 435 members of the House of Representatives. In 2010, the Republicans took the majority back. Ballpark. I mean, we won't hold you to it. Ballpark. How many GOP members are currently in the House?
Ballpark.
Do we have to play the Jeopardy theme?
I have to do the, I have to do the division for me. 280.
242 judges? Okay. No, we're not going to do That's not the right ballpark. That's not Fenway Park. That's like one of the bigger parks.
You wouldn't know I used to work in finance. My math skills aren't that good.
Harry Truman called the 80th Congress a do-nothing Congress in 1948, but they look like massive overachievers compared to today's crop of lawmakers. Of the nearly 4,000 bills before it, how many have been put into law? And I'll give you choices. Is it 31? Is it 41? Or is it 61?
51.
It's 61.
61.
61 bills made law. And the final question is, Massachusetts is losing 2 senior members of Congress to retirement, and they are?
Barney Frank and John Oliver.
Very good. Very good. Bingo on that. Thank you, sir.
We've taken over a number of John Oliver seats in our district.
Solid finish. Do you believe Republicans are at least partly responsible for the lack of action in Congress over the last couple of years?
No, I do. Yes, I do. I think that the challenges that we face in this country have been created in a bipartisan nature, and they're only going to be solved in a bipartisan nature. So,
what's the difference if you got elected and you went to Congress? How would you act differently?
I'm not going to vote 95% of the time with the leadership of my party.
You would roughly. Give me 1 or 2 examples of where you would not have voted.
I wouldn't have voted for the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
Which
is an expansion of bureaucracy. Yeah. I'm not a laissez-faire capitalist, but one thing we do know about regulation. Regulation increases the cost of doing business. That business isn't born on the backs of businesses on their own. It's passed down to the working men and women.
And as you know, Scott Brown brags that he did support that.
He did. And you know, but a lot of people ask me, are you a Scott Brown Republican? You know what? The Republican Party is a big party. I'm a Jon Golnik Republican. Scott Brown's a Scott Brown Republican. We all agree on a few core things. That's smaller government, lower taxes, and less regulation.
So you're a lot more conservative than he is, or at least...
I don't know if I'd say that. I think there are probably some things that he's more conservative on than I am. I can't, off the top of my head.
Give me another example of somewhere you would not have supported your party. Another bill.
Another bill. I'm trying to think. I think the Consumer Financial Protection Bill is the biggest one that comes to mind.
And it's clear to say that you're not a Jon Golnik, Nikki Tsongas Democrat, right? You're not in her corner at all. So
no, I'm not. I mean, we're going to have the people of our district are going to have a very clear contrast and a very clear choice.
So let's present that contrast right now. You know, okay. Janet was talking about a couple of things that for the Republicans that you wouldn't support. Give me top 2 reasons why you think that she should not go back to Congress. What are the two biggest reasons in your mind?
She voted to support for the Affordable Care Act, and she voted for the $800 billion stimulus package, which created or saved 3.5 million jobs at a cost of $225,000 a job that was supposed to keep unemployment below 6%. We've been at over 8% and counting for 43 months. It hasn't worked.
So we shouldn't have bailed out the auto industry?
We should not have.
And just let them die if they
I don't think they would have died. I think it's an amazing country that we live in, and people can be resourceful. You know, we do have auto factories all over the country now for all the different manufacturers, and they're surviving and doing quite well. So, you know, the federal government is looking to expand the federal government on our dime. We've become the ATM, the cash machine for the federal government. The federal government's at the largest it's ever been.
One of the great lines from the Democratic convention was that Osama bin Laden is dead and General Motors is alive. I mean, having General Motors is alive you would agree is good for the country.
It is, but I don't think General Motors would have died if we didn't bail them out. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's necessarily a foregone conclusion that would have happened.
Mm-hmm. I ran into you at the RNC in Tampa. You were making the rounds at the parties.
I can't sit still. I actually was hoping to bump into you. Honestly, I was. So.
How many fundraisers and big donors did you meet with while you were there?
I didn't have any fundraising events. I met with donors. I was down there more just to network with people of the party and talk to people in the party. And I wasn't down there for the whole time. I was only down there for a little less than 2 days.
But do you have any confidence that any super PACs will help you out in this race as a result of all the people that you wined and dined with and shook hands with?
You know, I don't know if we're going to have any super PACs come in for us. I mean, we're working on raising money in the district and in the Commonwealth. I mean, we'd certainly look to receive money from PACs. We need to have a level playing field. If Emily's List and Planned Parenthood are going to be large donors to my opponent, I don't see why there isn't any reason I can't take money from some of these PACs.
But nobody you want to name at this point
no,
that might
not
help
yet.
you out?
But it'll be on my FEC report as of after the October 15th.
Mr. Golnik, thank you for joining us this morning. We greatly appreciate you coming on OTR. Our thanks to Jon Golnik, the GOP nominee in the new 3rd Congressional District. Coming up next, OTR.